Good evening. Face to Face hosts today a conversation with Gamzerik Undilgir, a young Mongolian, very courageous, very educated, and very patriotic Mongolian woman who has founded and is now operating Mongol Ecology Center. Undilgir, thank you very much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you very much for having me here today.
And let's begin with introducing your organization to my viewers, Mongol Ecology Center.
Okay, Mongol Ecology Center was founded 2 years ago, but before then I've been working on environmental issues in Mongolia for about 5 years now. We touched on water issues, mining issues, as well as now we're working into climate change issues in Mongolia. But how Mongol Ecology Center started is after graduation, I graduated from California State University, East Bay. And I started hearing that environmental problems in Mongolia. And it was very difficult for me to grasp to it because I grew up in a country where it was always pristine and everybody talked about that. So in 2007, with two of my friends, we actually made a trip around Mongolia looking at water issues. And we actually ended up being in Overhanga province, Oyang-Sum, and looking at ninja miners. And then the thought came to me about what's going to happen to Mongolia 20 years from now if this continues, and what can I do?
Just ninja mining.
Yes, and ninja mining is just the other issues that you're looking at, because local people were talking about vegetation problems and precipitation. And so we thought, what happens to Mongolia? Can it still be pristine? Can it still be that beauty when I come back in 20 years from now or 5 years from now? And then a thought came to me is, what can I do as a Mongolian to contribute to the change and to the future of Mongolia? And so we started Mongol Ecology Center, and now we're working on 3 programs.
So going back to the history of establishment of your organization, I want to link this with your personal history. You studied in America for how many years? For 10 years?
Well, I actually I went to high school there for 1 year. I received a Soros Foundation scholarship. And then after finishing in 1 year, I also got an award from Bill Clinton, President Bill Clinton at the time. And I was accepted to Monmouth College. It's nearby Chicago. It's a private college. So I studied there, and then I transferred to California State University to study international relations and economic development. But in all of the things that, to these achievements, obviously my grandparents and my host parents in the US played a big role.
Definitely. And as a specialist in international public affairs, you developed that interest in developmental agenda, especially of the country where you were born, Mongolia, and you realized that climate change, ecology, environmental issues were high on Mongolia's development agenda. Yeah? And you said you also have joined with 2 of your friends.
Right.
Were these Americans or Mongolians?
Yes, they were just my American friends who wanted to help. And throughout this process, we had many people actually helping and understanding the importance of ecology. And as I majored in international relations and especially in economic development, we studied a lot about poverty and a lot about social issues such as human trafficking. And that was one of my thesis subjects. It was human trafficking. And when you actually go into looking what are the problems and causes of poverty and things, people's livelihoods, and what do they depend on? And if we go back to Mongolia, they depend on nature. And when we go look at that, how many people are living in UB versus how many people are still depend on their livestock? And Mongolia is it's an extreme continental climate. So it's very difficult for us to even adapt to the climate, and now there's a climate change. So these are the issues and things that every Mongolian, and not just Mongolians, everybody in the world should be thinking about. And it's the significance of Mongolia as well.
Definitely. And within these confines, there are many issues to address. Reducing the carbon footprint, combating desertification, conserving, protecting water sources, water bodies. Things to do in Mongolia's environmental front are many. What are the focus areas of your center?
We are right now focusing on especially protected areas, and right now our focus is on Hufskul National Park. And why Hufskul, right? Lake Hufskul is, as you know, is the most beautiful place in Mongolia, as a lot of people would say. and it's a 70% of Mongolia's surface freshwater. So the importance of Lake Hovsgol is not only to Mongolia, again, it's to the world, as it's the headwaters of Lake Baikal, and Lake Baikal has 20% of world's freshwater. So the world is recognizing it's important. Why not Mongolians, right? And so we're working on the actually management of Hovsgol National Park, and we're partnering with the Hovsgol National Park Administration on the project, and as well as many others from overseas and from Mongolia.
So this is one of your focus areas.
Yes, that would be one of our focus areas. Then we're also working on climate change and what its implications on economy. And then we also have a program called Mining, Reclamation and Renewable Energy. And through the program, we would like to educate people how renewable energy can be integrated to reclamation work in mining sector.
Any progress in this area?
Yes, we are actually would like to lead a tour end of this year for our mining companies to show them what is a good reclamation and what is a not so good reclamation. And we would like to show that example in the US, as they're so experienced in mining and people also understand the consequences of mining and the reclamation work. So we would like to actually help our mining companies and individuals and everybody who's involved to be educated on the issue.
And going back to your second major area, that's the climate change and its implications for economy. You've done any studies in this area, or how do you operate in this field?
In climate change and how its implications on economy, we're basically right now in the studies of where should we actually start? Because economy, as you know, is huge. Should we do rural economy or should we actually do UB economy? So we're working with our experts right now to build that model, and we'll be leading a very small workshop with our stakeholders in August to address these issues and to get us a focus area in an economy and how its implications going to be. Through our research, one of the things we want to do is we want it to be helpful to people, and as well as we want it to be tangible. So it's not just a research that's a book or sit on the shelf. It's something that can be implemented, and MEC wants to be part of that process. And the same thing as for the Hovsgol National Park, we want to be part of the process. And it doesn't mean that, oh, now that MEC is involved, we want to, this program, the management plan is going to be out there, but then we're going to leave. It's not that, because we are Mongolians and we want to be involved until we're satisfied, until we see the results, until we make something tangible in the park. And we can tell them, yes, these are the results that we brought. And as you know, we in Mongolia, the human resources, we have very limited human resources. So, and then as well as the best practices, international best practices. So we're getting help from the United States and also from Germany to tell them, can you send people to us who are experienced in this knowledge and who know how to deal with it as they worked on it for 100 years? How can we actually make it happen in 10 years in Mongolia? So we have invited those experts, and these experts would be volunteering for our project. It means that our center will not be paying them fees, but we will be covering their domestic costs.
Well, in the light of the critical importance of the issues that you're addressing at your ecology, it is important that you also earn the trust, recognition, and also cooperation on the part of your major stakeholders, who are the government, the non-governmental organizations, business community. How are you dealing with those stakeholders?
And our approach to them is that Mongol Ecology Center was a Mongolian organization. It's led by a Mongolian, as well as people who work for a Mongol Ecology Center are Mongolian. And we want to work for the benefit of Mongolia. And so we want to prove to them that this is, because a lot of people ask us, you bring in these foreigners to help you. What does that mean for Mongolia? We want to tell them, we want to utilize their skills and knowledge. So that's why we invited them, because we don't have it available in Mongolia. So, but these people are volunteering for us to do it. So in a way, we want to show them that what tangible things that we want to bring to Mongolia and how it can benefit if everybody's involved, right? So especially for the domestic private companies, we want to say, yes, there's a social corporate responsibility sector, but at the same time, as a Mongolian, as an individual, or even foreign businesses in Mongolia, they need to contribute, give back, and invest back into the Mongolian nature, because their return is coming from the nature.
Well, at this juncture, it's important to think of the sustainability, operational as well as financial sustainability of your activities given? Well, only these days, these years, we've begun speaking about corporate social responsibility, and not that many companies, in fact, do recognize that they do bear certain responsibility in terms of investing into the nature, into the education, etc. But following that concept and principle, you should also be looking at the various synergies that you can build with the private sector, because this will save you a lot of time, a lot of money, and also it will help you eliminate any duplication. Because unclear, I'm concerned about only one thing. There are so many projects, so many programs in Mongolia that are now being developed, implemented, carried out in environmental sector, but I'm afraid that there are certain duplication of efforts.
Exactly.
For instance, there are certain entities who are already working on conserving water resources at the Hupsugul Lake.
Exactly. And so our question to all the stakeholders who's involved is, how can we serve you? How can we help? And is in a way we're promoting that partnership and the people and the stakeholders there who are actually working on the same projects. And for the domestic companies, as you said, the corporate social responsibility, somewhat a new term. But at the same time, it's not really a new term for Mongolians, because our ancestors practiced love for the nature for a long time. So it's not new for Mongolians. Just it's a matter of how they can do it, how they can contribute it. So from our organization, we sent out our letterhead and our letter of request to partner with the domestic companies and as well as the other organizations who are working. And we're really open to their partnership, because one of our ways and why we were established is we want to be neutral and we want to serve and we want to help. And what are the ways we can actually partner and do that? There are actually other ways of partnership than just fundraising or financial assistance. And a lot of people, when they say, you know, let's partner, they say, we don't have money. But then our response is, there's so many other ways to partner than just sharing finances. So I think that that concept needs to go to all Mongolians, and to say, as an individual, you can contribute to, and your contribution just can be change of thought. That going back to our ancestors and say, we loved our nature so much, and water, and we had universal law for water. So why can't we remember that? And so I think this process is just a reminder to us. And I think that's what makes Mongolians, in a way, special and proud of our identity, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's a very beautiful principle to build yourself on. Who are particularly the stakeholders, your focal partners here in Mongolia, from government and also from non-government sector?
From the government, we actually requested to work with the Water Authority, who have been very cooperative, and also with the Ministry of Environment, Nature and Tourism, and as well as the Forest Agency here in Mongolia, and also the president of the Academy of Sciences. He also sits as an advisor to our organization. So we're finding ways to cooperate with them as well. And with the NGOs, we want to, like I said, we want to work with people who are actually doing the similar things. But again, you know, when we touched on the trust basis, it's important to build that trust system when you're working with anybody. So at the moment, we are saying, yes, we would like to work with you on our focal points. Again, we can't partner with every single people as in a way of our capacity. We're such a small organization. But in our focus points and our focal programs, yes, we would like to work with you if you're working actually in the field. And we would like to get support of all the Mongolians. And again, like I said, it's not just the financial support. It's about support of having a thought that they can help too. They can be part of that change. And I think once we all have that, there will be change and there will be a brighter future for Mongolia.